now. So so if you want the recording, just feel free to reach out to us so that we can get that to you for your loved ones. So I went to a training these past few weeks, and one of the presenters was by a doctor who wrote this book, Rebuild, 5 proven steps to move from diagnosis to recovery and be healthier than before. He talks about being a victor, and I'm not just a survivor, I'm a victor, because he actually helped heal his body after having B-cell lymphoma himself. So he's a wonderful doctor, functional medicine, clinical nutritionist, transformational speaker. He's an amazing guy, ton of tidbits. So I'm actually using a presentation that he did for the most part, and then adding some of our own thoughts to it as well. So we're going to go over what I say. So no further ado, I'm going to share my screen as we go through this. I'm going to try to go over really complex topics in a very concise way, just so that they make enough sense to get you thinking about some things that you can implement at this time. So the disclaimer is that these statements have not been evaluated by Drug and Food Administration, but we are also not here to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any disease. We're just here to learn about what helps our body optimally perform. So this is Dr. Z, as we call him, and the goal of this presentation is to understand how the immune system defends against pathogens and what we can do to improve its function. And to do that, we need to understand how the immune system works. So let's dive in. The immune system is made up of special cells, chemicals, organs that fight microbes and pathogens that create infections. Its main parts are white blood cells, antibodies, complement system, which is really just extensions of the immune system, lymphatic system, spleen, bone marrow, thymus, which produces T lymphocytes. Now, the key to this that's missing is the digestive system. The digestive system is huge in helping our immune system, but to keep for sake of time and brevity, we're going just know that what you put in your body really matters, and we're going to go over that. But the digestive system is a part of it. But more than just white blood cells, we have physical barriers that make up our immune system: skin, the mucous membranes, hair, cilia. They all play a role in helping protect us from pathogens and diseases. Those little nose hairs, as much as you might not like them as they grow, when you get older, they really help prevent pollutants from getting into the body. But we're going to spend most of our time talking about the white blood cells in that system and how it works and what we can do to help support it. So white blood cells are key players in our immune system. They're made in your bone marrow, and they're part of the lymphatic system. White blood cells move through your blood and tissue, and I like to think of it as a hound dog with its kind of nose to the ground, looking and sniffing for anything that does not belong there, looking for bacteria, viruses, parasites, fungi. When they find them, they launch an all-out immune attack. White blood cells include lymphocytes, B cells, T cells, natural killer cells, and many other types of immune systems. Basically, white blood cells are looking for invaders, and they're going to do anything they can to kill, steal, or destroy them. All right, then there are 2 arms of the immune system, just so you know, that you've probably heard of. That makes sense. There's the innate. That is the inherited part. It's a rapid response system. These blood cells patrol your body. It's the first respond when there's an invader. This arm is inherited. When specific white blood cells recognize an invader, it immediately goes into action. The white blood cells finds and engulfs the invader and destroys it. We have a cool video to go over that. And then there's the acquired immune system. If you've ever heard of like IgA, IgG antibodies, this is a part of it. It's the acquired, it's learned, because we need both. So it produces antibodies to help protect your body from a specific invader. The kind of, some things we just know and we don't have to learn the hard way. And then some things in life we learn the hard way. That's kind of how our immune system is. Some things it's like, yep, we already knew this was bad. Other things like, oh, we had to learn that this was bad. So these antibodies are developed by cells called B lymphocytes after the body has been exposed to the invader. The antibodies stay in your body and can take several days for antibodies to develop. But after the first exposure, the immune system will recognize the invader and defend against it. So What are antibodies? Antibodies are these little fork prong like things that they're blue, and they're the thing attacking the cell, because it's going to then signal, hey, you need to come destroy this. It's kind of like putting a little flag on it saying we need to take care of this guy. So they're produced by the B cells. And so this is where we need to start to get thinking. If antibodies are what's marking unhealthy cells, and B cells produce it, then how can I help B cells and how can I help antibody production? What can I help and what's hurting from that? They also do this by recognizing substances called antigens on the surface of microbes. So they're sniffing for things, and they're sniffing for antigens that aren't friendly. The chemicals they produce, which mark the microbe or toxin as being foreign. The antibodies mark them for destruction. Viruses can also be removed by the body from antigens. So they're tagging and they're also removing. So it's a pretty neat system. Then there's T cells. What are T cells? So T cells, not like the, I pity the fool, Mr. T, but they're a major component of the adaptive immune system, that learned immune system. Their role includes directly killing infected host cells, activating other immune cells, producing cytokines, and regulating the immune response. This is a key component, because this is where you can hear those autoimmune, where your immune system goes on auto drive. It's like the Three Bears. This thing's, not enough. This is too much, but we want the immune system just right, working at just the right level. So T cells originate in the bone marrow, then mature in the thymus. The thymus filters and monitors your blood content. It produces white blood cells called the T lymphocytes, as we just learned. Okay, so so we learned a little bit about the immune system and, the white blood cells. Now let's learn a little bit about virus and viral replication. First of all, that virus has one job and one job only, and it's related to the bunnies. It wants to reproduce. So the virus attaches to a cell, enters this cell, releases genetic material to replicate. The nucleus then kicks it out. The organelles reconstruct the virus in the cell, and the virus breaks out. So I don't know if it's just you, but I don't want viruses replicating for me. I want healthy cells, but not healthy cells. So there's a key nutrient we're going to go over, so you have to stay tuned about what prevents this virus from replicating. If you don't have this nutrient, viruses is going to replicate, is able to replicate. So we're going to talk about that. But before we do, we're going to talk a little bit about fevers, because they play a role in our immune system. So should we let a fever ride out? Should we suppress it? What we're finding is that at higher temperatures, white blood cells, B cells, T cells work better. And that higher temperature comes from the fever. So we don't necessarily want to suppress a fever if that's what our body is doing to make those cells work better. Work with your health professional. Make sure that the fever is not getting out of control, especially with the little kid. But in general, if it's in a safe range that nurse director said you're okay, let it ride out. Which brings us to Tylenol. A lot of times we might take things to reduce the fever, but if you have had alcohol, you really need to stay away from Tylenol, because it produces a compound that damages the liver, even up to 24 hours after you've drank. So just really careful. If you drink too much, you get a headache, really try to replenish, magnesium, B vitamins, water, the electrolytes, and because your body has a headache for a reason. So try to find other ways to cope with those sort of things when, especially when we're sick. So this is a macrophage, a white blood cell, and it comes through, and that's the virus, and it recognizes the virus. Maybe antibodies flag that virus. What it does is it engulfs it, and some cells will either inject enzymes into it to just mutilate it and destroy it. It's really cool. But we want that white blood cell to be strong, and that response to be so natural that your body, like clockwork, does that sort of thing. So if we know that that's what the job is, we want to say, what does that guy need, or girl, to work? So how do we develop immunity? There's two ways, and basically it's from memory cells, T cells and memory cells. So basically there's specialized proteins on surfaces that help them recognize the cells and say, hey, we know what this is, let's destroy it. But basically through antibodies, we know that that's how the memory kicks in. So what are we doing that is injuring our immune response? This is really key and important because, well, I don't know about you, but I want to be healthy. And most people who come to our office are because they want to just be healthy and live as normal life as possible. So you don't want, so we neglect our health by not managing our stress, social isolation, drinking too much alcohol. And I don't know about you, but those three things, anybody feeling stressed, isolated, and lonely, and drinking a little too much and eating a little more unhealthy food, staying up late longer on their phones, not choosing the salads, that we maybe normally did, and lacking motivation to work out. Yeah, unfortunately, that is so common these days, but all those things are what directly impacts, for not the better, our immune system. So we're going to go over that a little. I don't know why I will put. Okay, so things you do that harm your immune system. Well, smoking, but kind of to the point of physical inactivity, sitting is the new smoking. So are we not being physically active enough? We'll go over a study that shows how that's damaging. Binge drinking, not getting enough sleep, carrying the negative emotions. And I don't know about you, but there's a lot of negative emotions going around. So we really have got to spend extra energy working on that. One thing that I would like you to look up is stinking thinking. It's really powerful to recognize, wow, maybe my thinking is not serving me, and really working on some key things for that. Any of these things, if you have questions or obstacles with, please reach out. We'd love to help you overcome so that you can be the healthiest version of yourself. So what else hurts us? Avoiding sunlight. Why? Because vitamin D is vital to our health, especially our health during this time. Where does vitamin D come? Our best source is from the sun. Fortunately, we don't get great exposure to it, especially in winter in Wisconsin. So that's where vitamin D supplementation really becomes pertinent. However, when we do have access to sun, I can't stress this enough. You need to get out in the sun without some sunblock. I'm not talking about going all day, in your swimming suit without sunblock or, a layer of protection. But 20 to 30 minute increments are amazing for getting that sun to hit your skin to produce the vitamin D that we need. So really watching how much sunscreen and how much, we are avoiding the sun. Personal hygiene is personal for everyone. So I don't think I need to go into this too much, but the washing the hands, is so important right now, making sure, what you're touching and putting on your face. Those are key things you want to look into right now. And then using toxic makeup and hygiene products. Why is this important? Well, we know that in certain chemicals from products give us DNA adducts. What are DNA adducts? Basically, they create toxins that attack our DNA that impairs our immune system. So are the chemicals that you're ingesting or putting on your skin hurting your immune system or helping? If they're the parabens and all that, you really want to look for some clean products that you're using. The misuse of antibiotics. What am I talking about? Really the overuse of antibiotics. They serve their purpose and we love them, but they can really destroy the gut biome, which is imperative for our immune system. So we really want to make sure that if you are taking antibiotics, so you're really setting that off by being on probiotics for at least a year. A lot of natural people say 2 years to really help reset that gut biome. So we have an amazing probiotic at our office we can help you with. But that's why we love chiropractic care, right? Because our babies, if they're having ear infections, instead of the antibiotics, we can help drain everything, the fluid buildup. So really, that's where if you are sick, or the onset of it really coming in can really help your system a lot. And then neglecting the importance of water. We're 70% water. We need to be drinking water. Start with, a goal. Set a reminder on your phone to drink water. Find quality filtered water, because sometimes that's why people don't like the taste. Now, though, we're going to go on to stress. And I don't want to camp here, but we know we are just in stress overload. When we are stress overload, all these things happen. Increased heart rate, blood pressure, instant energy, muscle tenseness, sweat, and increased cortisol. What is cortisol? Well, it's a stress hormone released from the adrenal glands that's in top of your kidneys. Not that you cared. But it basically is released in blood under times of stress. And coincidentally, when you haven't eaten, Eating regularly healthy fats, proteins, fruits, and vegetables is so important to make sure that your body's not releasing too much stress, because that blocks inflammation. Um, then it also affects it, regulating the allergic response. So really, cortisol is a very good thing. We need cortisol. It helps us to run. However, prolonged stress reaction with cortisol that is too high, adrenals that are too high, norepinephrine, those hormones that are too high, that's going to elicit the immune response of B cells, T cells, natural killer cells. And then, but instead of really being activated to do their job at a healthy level, they're going to just be releasing tons of cytokines, which increases inflammation and disease. So prolonged stress really does impact our health. So we need to figure out how to help the immune system. Here's one article that talks about long-term stress ravaging the immune system. This isn't necessarily about stress per se, but it's about how our body perceives stress due to loneliness. Did you know that loneliness triggers the fight or flight stress signaling, which negatively impacts our immune system? So I know this time during social distancing, and we want to protect our loved ones. We want to balance that under the light of knowing that loneliness can also negatively impact our loved one's immune system. So really getting creative in how we can be safe and really, but yet secure with people close around us in a healthy way that's for them. And there's tons of creative ways these days, but really checking in on those, if you're single, you're living alone, more the elderly, really being intentional with them during this time. We know that uncertainty, it will also increase stress and fear, and that reduces natural killer cells. So that's why it goes back to really the stress management and how we perceive stress. I've gone through a really hard year this year, multiple things went hard, but I focused very hard on what I can do to perceive it as, this is setting me up for a comeback and I'm going to be stronger. So it's all about that mindset and really coming together with tools. Maybe seeing somebody, talking to a friend, just being vulnerable to admit, hey, I'm struggling with this. So we know cortisol inhibits the natural killer cells. Natural killer cells, remember, are the ones that are targeting pathogens, target cells that are infected by viruses. So really, we need to lower our cortisol. We know in this study from PLOS One that students under chronic stress 4.5 weeks before exams and 1 week following exams, that chronic stress resulted in lower number of natural killer cells in the blood. Natural killer cells are those hound dogs going around sniffing around, and it reduced its ability to do that. But you hear that all the time. Oh, I've been so stressed, I ended up getting sick. Well, here's the science behind it. So we know chronic stress dysregulates the innate and the adaptive immune response, the inherent one and the learned one. So let's talk about physical activity, because moving our mass helps us, helps our mood, helps lower stress, but it also, moving our mass helps boost our immune system. We know that physical inactivity accumulated over weeks, months, years is associated with systemic inflammation, impaired natural killer cell activity, and reduces T cell proliferation, all of which can result in a loss of viral control. We need to move. So now you're asking, what kind of exercise is best? Dr. Bust is CrossFit. That's too intense for me. I'm somewhere between the couch potato and a 5K. The best thing to do is to do something that you like and enjoy. So for you, it might be joining a group class. It might be figuring out how to work at home. It might be subscribing to somebody who works out. It might be walking. It might be yoga. Whatever it is, the best exercise is the one you'll do. And I also encourage you, if you are really fighting it, to just set an accountability for 3 weeks. Say, hold me accountable for 3 weeks, because once you get through that 3 weeks, chances are you'll start enjoying it. So we talked about some of the lifestyle things, and I don't want to miss out that chiropractic care and making sure the body can communicate with each other is so important. So don't skip out as long as it's safe to come in. Do not skip out on your adjustments, even if you're feeling good, because we want to keep you feeling good. But we know that nutrient deficiency suppresses the immune system. It just does. So you see those white blood cells, the T killer cells, they all have receptors on them that require nutrients to not only activate, but help improve it. So if you're not getting in enough nutrients, this cell is not going to be as strong as it needs to. So let's talk about that. We just know that the Western diet and lifestyle affects people's immune system. It's found that a large number of calories and processed and fast food may lead to health problems, increasing inflammation. How many of you come in with pain, and really assessing your diet, increased risk of cancer, increased risk of allergic and autoinflammatory disease, and reduced control of infections. So we all know right now that, sugar is bad for you, but why and how is it bad for you? So this study from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that that consuming 100 grams of carbohydrates, glucose, sucrose, fructose, honey, orange juice, all significantly decrease the capacity of neutrophils to engulf bacteria, especially 1 to 2 hours after eating. What does that mean? It means 1 to 2 hours after having a large amount of sugar. And I want, you're saying, well, Anna, I don't drink 100 grams of orange juice. No, but for breakfast, you might have orange juice, and then you might have pancakes and syrups, or an English muffin, or a bagel with cream cheese. That all adds up so quickly. Or breakfast potatoes with ketchup. Ketchup has tons of sugar. There's a lot of added sugar and things that we forget and are accounting for. But an hour to 2 hours after that, you have a decreased capacity of engulfing that bacteria and destroying it. So we really want to watch, make sure that we're not eating too much sugar. The nutrient deficiency injures the immune system, showing that various micronutrients. Now, macronutrients are like your fats, proteins, carbs. Your micronutrients are your vitamins and minerals. So macro, you need in a large amount. Micro, you need in a little amount, but they're still both very important. So vitamins A, C, D, E, B2, B6, B12, folic acid, iron, selenium are essential for having immune competence. Micronutrient deficiencies and poor nutritional status predisposes us to certain infections. And diet alone may be insufficient, and tailored micronutrient supplementation based on specific age-related needs is necessary. Why do we need to supplement? Because we just don't get the quality of food that we used to get. When you pull out a carrot, the carrot doesn't have nutrients just because that's what was in the seed. The carrot has nutrients because of what's in the soil. So when you're talking about getting carrots shipped from Mexico that were sprayed with Roundup and pesticides and probably most likely genetically modified, then they are in soil that never gets a break, never is getting, the good time to rest up so that the minerals and vitamins can replete. Then it gets taken out early. A lot of times it's sprayed with something to make it look that it's ripe, and then it travels here and all the time losing nutrients up until the time that it gets on your plate and in your mouth. And that could have been you cooked it, you cut it up, it was sitting in the fridge for a while. The nutrients just diminish at each stage in that. So what are some nutrients that are really important? I cannot stress the importance of vitamin D enough. Please just look up studies. COVID, vitamin D, you'll find so many. But a report studied almost 19,000 subjects between 1988 and 1994, and individuals with lower vitamin D were more likely to self-report a recent respiratory tract infection than those of sufficient levels. Now they're talking about less than 30 nanograms. Please work with your doctor. I'm going to go over it a little later, but there's 2 types of vitamin D that are important to check out and make sure are okay. We like to see ranges at least 50 nanograms per milliliter. And so we'll kind of go over a little bit of that. So, and then vitamin C is so important. Just take a screenshot. And why is vitamin C so important? Because it's essential because we can't make it. So we have to take it. We have to get it in through our food or supplementation. But it is so important. It actually enhances microbial killing. And vitamin C deficiency results in impaired immunity and higher susceptibility to infections. Bottom line, you don't have enough vitamin C, it's going to be harder to fight infections. So what are some of the things that we can do? First of all, we have to stop injuring our immune system. We need to control our stress response and eliminate processed foods. We need to regulate our stress response by changing our perceptions. We talked about this a little. Then we need to stop eating the crap. We got to limit the gluten, the dairy, because of casein. It really wreaks havoc in our digestive tract. The refined sugars, they just don't hold any nutrients. Remember, we talked about nutrients is what the immune system needs. These foods are very calorically dense, but nutrient deficient. We want foods that are nutrient dense. And then it doesn't usually matter the caloric count because they're packing so much punch with the nutrients. Then we not only have to stop eating certain food, we need to bring in other food, support our foods, choose foods that support your immune system. Mushrooms like white button mushrooms, cremini, portobello, porcini, shiitake. All these mushrooms are so good. Why? They contain a compound called beta-glucan. Beta-glucan is an amazing compound that increases the immune function of your natural T killer cells. So eat those shrooms as long as they're safe. Okay, choose foods that support your immune system, like citrus fruits. Why? Because we know that they have the vitamin C, but you really want to be careful about not consuming too much sugar with those, and the quality. Again, organic is typically always better. What are other foods that support your immune system? Take a screenshot of this. Broccoli, garlic, foods with high vitamin D, ginger, spinach, turmeric, green tea. And let's not forget that chicken noodle soup that your grandma brings you. But actually, I would keep out the noodles and, if anything, put in rice or cauliflower rice. But why is a chicken noodle soup good? The bone broth, but you have to make it with the actual chicken and the bone broth. But the fat is so essential for our immune system. Just want to note that grapefruit can contain a compound that impairs detoxification enzymes. So if you are taking prescription drugs, really talk to your pharmacist and make sure that it's okay for you to consume grapefruit. So we talked a little about the food. We need to be eating that healthy food because we need to eat something, and we need to be filling it with foods that are more likely to be nutrient dense. But then where and how does supplements come in, and why do we recommend these ones? Well, we recommend a main line that comes in a powder form that when it's powder, you mix with water. It's actually really neat. You actually absorb it within 5 to 10 minutes. So why? And what does it contain that makes it better? Well, actually, it's formulated with not only top-notch ingredients, but it's also formulated in a way that has 2 grams of sugar. Now, Anna, you just said sugar was bad. Now you're trying to feed me something with sugar in it, right? Well, when I talk sugar, I'm talking 2 grams, which if you have a table grape, it's the amount of that. But with you have 1 table grape, how much nutrients are you getting? Pretty minimal, and it's only grape. Well, in 2 grams, if you're taking the maximum ORAC formula, you're getting cranberry juice concentrate, blueberry extract, grapes juice powder, raspberry powder, elderberry powder, black currant extract, pomegranate powder, prune extract, mixed tocopherols, chokeberry extract, and black pepper extracts that helps with absorption. So for 2 grams, you're getting tons of biodiverse nutrients. So it's powder, then you mix 1 cap in here, and then not only does it taste like a delicious sweet tart, but you can get your kids to drink it. You don't have to worry about swallowing pills. And the 2 grams of sugar, really what it's used for isn't to increase your sugar load, it's to help it empty into your system at a better rate, because we know the stomach empties and squirts. The more sugar or carbohydrates present, the slower the stomach empties. The greater the volume liquid, the greater rate initial ratio of stomach emptying. Basically, sugar content strongly influences the rate of gastric emptying. What does this mean? Basically means because it's formulated in this way, does not limit vitamin absorption by saturating absorption sites. So basically, when the nutrients go in, if all the nutrients go in at once, those vitamins absorption sites are going to be all taken up, and then everything else is going to go. But by having it formulated this way, it empties at an ideal rate to get maximum absorption. It's really cool. So what are the nutrients that we want to take, and what supplements should we focus on if we're really wanting to not just, survive this winter, but if we really want to thrive in it no matter what comes at us? Well, these are some of the nutrients we're going to talk about. So what does the research say about them? Again, vitamin C. We know that taking vitamin C within 8 to 24 hours afterwards, it increases natural killer T cells. So that is awesome. But not only that, vitamin C is so multifactorial. We're going to go over ways. It's like vitamin C, you take it, you not only boost your immune system, but you help almost every other system in your body. It's really cool. It helps support the epithelial barrier, which is a term for the cells and lining function against pathogens, and promotes antioxidant scavenging. It's really neat. So what about vitamin D? Well, vitamin D deficiency is common in the winter. We just know that because of lack of sun. And vitamin D125 OHD3 has a profound effect on human immunity. Again, this study is from the epidemic influenza and vitamin D and talking about how it impacts that. So you have vitamin D, just O25, and then and that's what's circulating in your blood. But then you have the catecholine form of vitamin D125. I definitely recommend most doctors will check the O25. That's going to tell you what's in the blood. That's important, and we want that, again, over 50 nanograms. But if you're really concerned about your immunity, make sure your doctor checks the 125 levels, because that is indicative of the hormone that activates white blood cells to do their job. So if you're taking vitamin D and your levels of the 125 aren't going up, you're going to want to look into blood sugar concerns and inflammation concerns. They kind of go hand in hand. But 125 is a very important number that's indicative of health. So just take note of that. As little as 600 IUs of vitamin D3 can support the immune system. However, most experts believe that we need close to 4,000 to 6,000. Vitamin D Council even recommends up to 10,000. Work with your healthcare professional, again, because you don't want your numbers over 100 nanograms. So that was vitamin C. We talked about vitamin D. What about beta glucans? Those are in the mushrooms that we talked about. Beta glucans are naturally occurring carbohydrates that come from the cell walls of mushrooms and yeast. But what do they do? Why do they matter? Well, the first step in mediating beta glucan action might be immunostimulation by activating. It activates immune cells such as T cells and B cells under in vivo conditions. Basically, it just means that when you consume beta glucans, and we're going to talk about you're activating your immune system. So it's a really important thing to consume. So how do we consume it? Well, we'll talk about that. Now, let's talk about that zinc, because this is zinc. We hear zinc, vitamin C we're supposed to take, but why? Well, zinc deficient people are just typically have immune dysfunctions. We know that zinc is crucial for normal development and function of NK cells. But we know that zinc deficiencies adversely affect immune health. And why? Because zinc is that key component that helps prevent viruses from replicating. So if you want to take out the bad guys, take in zinc. Zinc inactivates those invaders before getting into the cell. I don't know about you, but I don't want anything coming into my place, dropping its junk, replicating, and leaving. No, thank you. I'm going to take my zinc. It prevents them from releasing contents in the infected cell. Zinc prevents the invader from creating more genetic material. It prevents the invader from creating more copies of itself. Bottom line, zinc helps prevent viral infections. And then there's a black cumin seed. I don't want you to get overwhelmed. Just know that these are all different layers that we can bring in to help boost our immune system. The wonderful thing about black cumin seed is not only does it help us balance emotions in stressful situations. I know people who take a product with black cumin seed in, and it really helps with the onset of panicky feelings. It helps healthy brain function. It helps cellular function and increasing nitric oxide in blood vessel dilation. Men, you might be particularly concerned about a lack of blood vessel dilation. Black cumin seed can help, but it also helps our heart and healthy aging. It is an amazing, amazing product. That's why they're calling it the miracle herb. It actually comes from the desert of Jerusalem in wonderful extreme conditions that help it grow ideal. But how does it help immunity? It has active ingredients showing that it has the beneficial immune modularity properties, augmenting the immune responses. It helps the immune response, bottom line. Then there's also Pycnogenol. If you take our OPC3, you know that that has a Pycnogenol in it. Well, you might not have known that. But what is that good for? Well, it's a powerful antioxidant, anti-inflammatory that supports the immune system. How does it do that, you might ask? Well, it prevents, so if you've ever heard of pro-oxidative cells, those are cells that are going in the body and they're wreaking havoc. They are the bad guys. They're like punching things and they are going to destroy white blood cells. Again, we want to protect white blood cells. We want to give the cells what they need, but we also want to help protect the white blood cells. So Pycnogenol comes in and it calms down that radical cell so that it is not doing damage to our immune system. It is awesome. I really, really like it. So what are some other things that can help? Echinacea, if you have ever heard that, has shown to reduce cytokines. Echinacea, some people can be sensitive to, but if you're not, it's a great one for the immune system. The reishi mushroom is another ingredient that we really need to be consuming, and we have a product that has it in. Why? Because it contains that beta glucan that is so good for you. Ginseng has also been shown to activate macrophages and natural killer T cells. So what are some of our top picks that we bring to you? We bring to you vitamin C, vitamin D, immune product. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Calcium, we're going to talk about that. The immune product that has the reishi mushroom, that orac that I showed you, and Tylenol. Those are just some of them, and we can work with you if you're looking for a no-brainer, vitamin C. It is still sexy. We're still bringing it back. Vitamin C, like we talked about, is important for the immune system. But what else? It's an antioxidant. It frees the body from those radical cells. It contributes to normal function of the immune system, gives you that boost during cold season. And one capful of our vitamin C is equivalent to 7 oranges, 16 lemons, and 6 grapefruits. So it's awesome. You don't want to eat that many of those fruit because you're going to spike your blood sugar and weaken the immune system. But with 2 grams of sugar, you get 500 milligrams, an awesome way to boost the immune system. Then our vitamin D. Love our vitamin Ds. 5,000 IUs. It comes with K2, which is very important for bone health. And it's tasty and it's drinkable. And I can get my kids to drink a good amount when we're concerned and need to bump up that vitamin D. So it's good for a lot of other things. We know bone health, cardiovascular health, and optimal calcium absorption. If you have osteoporosis or runs in your family, vitamin D is prudent, but it's also very prudent with COVID going on right now. We see that the people with severe cases in the hospital and unfortunately leading to death, a lot are vitamin D deficient. So this is a non-negotiable. So if you just want one place to start, please take vitamin D. And make sure that you're not cheaping out on it. The next one that I'm going to recommend, if you're only going to take 2, is the immune and the vitamin D. I wish, and why do I care about the immune maybe a little more than the vitamin C, even though I would like you to have that in as well, is because immune contains vitamin C along with Wellmune WellPG, which is a trademarked ingredient, a natural yeast beta glucan, again, that helps support the natural T killer cells, and it's a blend. So we know that it promotes beneficial activity of macrophages, T cells, natural killer cells, which engulf and destroy pathogens. So it's important. I have a story about this one. Was my kids and I, we were exposed to hand, foot, mouth. I found out. I took this to boost our immune system, to get those hand, foot, mouth pathogens, whatever they're called, and we didn't get anything. My husband didn't take it because I didn't make him take it because I didn't think he was exposed. Well, we must have had it to the point where we somehow shed it or something to him, even though we didn't feel it. He got hand, foot, mouth so bad. Moral of the story is none of us go without immune. We have a kids one. What makes the beta glucan really powerful is actually, you see that little strand. My husband loves clocks, and the clock is going off right now. See that little strand? That strand is what makes the beta glucan powerful and effective with the biological activity with the immune response. So why do I pick immune over any other one almost? Because it has zinc. Again, we're going to stop those viruses from replicating, but it also gives us energy production and cognitive function. And it also has vitamin C in it. So if you want one product that is going to have a few different punches with the beta glucan, the zinc, and the vitamin C, immune is your guy. Now, our kids one has bromelain in it that helps break up mucus because your kids can't always cough. Why do I bring up calcium? Well, not only is calcium good for every other part of the body, but calcium is needed to activate T cells in the adaptive immune response. So if we're calcium deficient, our immune system is going to be compromised. So we really like this one. If you take 2 servings, you get almost what you need. Most people don't know that we lose calcium on a daily basis. So we need to replenish that. And then there's Tylenol. That's with the black cumin seed and the Pycnogenol. It comes together with a powerful immune response. It's awesome. It has, look at all of those benefits on there. So with one product, you can really help hit many areas. It's the thymoquin, which is a trademark ingredient, and it's exclusive to this brand. And it also has that Pycnogenol. We love it. And then there's elderberries that come in our ORAC. So this is going to be another antioxidant. It helps bring in, but if you've heard people talk about elderberries, this product has it in. It's a staple for immune support, but this will also help antioxidant response in your body and help with the immunity. This immune product is awesome. It has that reishi mushroom. So, you know, honestly, I have the immune product like this, and I have the immune drinkable one, and I have both on hand in my cabinet for when we're sick, or feeling something come on. But what I really like is that it also takes stress into account, the physical and mental stress. So ginseng helps with that. So if stress is one of your causes, you're going to want to lower immunity, you're going to want to take this one. Vitamin C, again, it has that in there, and it has zinc. So again, if I have 2 of the immune products, I take one in the morning, one at night. Now I'm getting all these ingredients that are proven to help in one. So vitamin C, echinacea, zinc, ginseng mushrooms. It's a synergistic blend. So again, these are some of our top picks, but if you're worried about gut health, we're going to look at probiotics. So we really will take a, customized look at how to help, but these are just some great ways. Pick one, try it out. But it's not just supplementation. Supplementation is an easy button, especially if you're so stressed right now. You're like, Anna, I can't think of one thing. But just taking a supplement might get you to the point where you can make a lifestyle change and look at exercise, removing toxins, getting enough sleep. The best thing you can do is clean up the diet, but we know that's not always realistic, but eating whole and low glycemic impact foods. However, that's when we would want to come in and take the supplements, manage our stress. Maybe it's time to talk to somebody about ways to do that. Drink plenty of water. Come see us or your chiropractor of choice. Just pick one thing and work on that. And then when you have that down, add another thing in. We're here to help you on that journey. So if you have questions, you can get these products at our office. You can order them online. We can send you the code. If there's any questions that we had, please don't feel shy, but support that immune system. Move your mass, drink that water, talk to a friend that helps decrease the loneliness, and come see us. So thank you guys. I just appreciate you taking the time to join in, and please share this with your friends, family. We really are here to help the community thrive during this time. Bye guys. Have a great day.